How do you deal with colleagues who are bad at answering their emails?
It depends on the impact. If the impact of them not answering emails is serious to your day to day, you have to have a head-on conversation. If it's minor and it has minor impact, you're better to let it go. Think about like communications as being like normal communications, high value communications, and high stakes communications. So normal communications are when people have like normed to each other's style. So everybody has like preferences, just ways they prefer to be. And then they have things that are more authentic to them. So things that they've learned how to do that they've kind of made their own, but that take effort. So anything that's authentic should take effort. That might sound a little bit off to you. And if it sounds off to you, you should go back and listen to our other content where I talk about preference and authenticity. Preference is natural. It's just your like the thing that you lean into. Authenticity takes effort. It's something you have to flex on, but you've made it your own. When we're in normal communication, everybody is normed to each other's style. So you're mostly in the preference space. And that just means that people are able to work with each other's preferences in a way that's pretty normal. High value is when there's a situation, and it could be because you're working with cross-functional people, people that you spend a lot of time with, or the people that you work with normally, but there is something high value going on, so something super important. In those spaces, you're moving more into the authenticity space where it's like, it's not your preference, it takes some effort, but you are putting more effort into it because you're either trying to give great value or get great value or exchange value, or it's high stakes. And the way that I talk about high stakes communication is there's something to win or lose. So you're either going to have something good happen as a result, or you're going to lose something. And in those spaces, it's like you got to be your most like tucked in and really focused on it. So if I'm working with someone and they are non-responsive to email and it's not a big deal, and I've normed to their style. So it's like, hey, I know it's normal for them. It's non-responsive. In our company, we have best practice that you should get back to an email in a certain amount of time. And we mostly stick to that. But if someone doesn't get back to an email and it's not that big a deal, just from like a normal communication point of view, I don't have to make a big deal about it. I can choose to make a big deal about it. But I would say for people, it's like, why stress about it if it's not that big a deal? But if it's something high value, where let's say we've normed to each other's style, but it's something where I need a lot of value from someone, then yeah, I'll talk to them about it. And if I want, I can just set a deadline for them, be like, hey, I need a response to this by end of day, blah, 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 blah. I expect someone that I work with, and we should expect this, that if we give them a timeline and we say, hey, this is important, this is like a high value situation, they're going to respond. But you got to be explicit about it if you know their style is to be a little bit more relaxed about email timelines. Then you should, as a good work partner or as a good boss, you should say, hey, I need this by this time. You can even be more explicit and say, like, hey, this is like really high value. I need this by this time on this day. And like you can be very precise about it. If you're going to be a great work partner with someone and they're a little bit more relaxed about their email style, don't try and like rewrite their life history and make them be a certain way if in general it doesn't impact you. Just make sure that you let them know when it matters and when it doesn't. You could say, well, I shouldn't have to do that. Well, yeah, but then you're going to spend your whole life trying to force everyone to be a certain way that works for you. Just let people know when it matters and when it doesn't. It's no big deal. The final piece, though, high stakes. If something's high stakes, the people that you're working with better know. And either they should know because they're involved in your world, they understand something high stakes is going on, or you let them know. And letting them know doesn't mean like pressing the panic button and putting a bunch of pressure on people. It's letting people know that when there's something high stakes going on, that you're setting clear expectations, you're explaining it as far as you need to so they understand it's high stakes, and you have the communication. In a perfect world, people would respond in a timely manner to emails and everyone would do all the things they're supposed to do. But people don't do that because people have a lot of stress in their lives. There's a whole bunch of stuff they're focusing on. The internet is overwhelming. Instagram is like constantly telling them that everyone's better than them. And, all of these like wild things are happening on Twitter. The world is in chaos. It's like a really intense time. I assume people don't want to be on their phones in front of their email all the time. So, what I encourage people is if you have someone who's a little bit more chill about email than you are, and you want things done at a timeline that they're not keeping to, you know when it's normal, so it doesn't really matter. Just leave it alone. It's not a big deal. Let them be a person in the world that's, going through some challenges right now. But when it's high value, let them know it's high value and give them the appropriate timelines. But when it's high stakes, don't make it a nasty surprise for them. Let them know what the situation is. Don't be passive aggressive about it. Explain yourself and how important it is very clearly and set expectations. Day to day, I would love if people did everything without having to be asked. Of course I would, but that's not the real world. So let's be real about it. Be proactive, be communicative with people, and don't be passive aggressive and take things personally. Just be real.